Yo, what's up, everybody? Welcome back into the show. Yet another episode of Crushing Fantasy Football. I am Bryce Lockridge, your host of the show. Guys, today I'm going to be giving you my top 5 quarterback wide receiver stacks for the 2022 fantasy football season. And I'm going to start with the first stack on my list, one that I'm very excited about, and that is Kyler Murray and DeAndre Hopkins. Obviously, we got to keep an eye on the Kyler Murray contract situation. Will he get the money he wants and actually step on the field this year and play? That remains to be seen. But I do know one thing. If him and DeAndre Hopkins both play this year, and they play all 17 games, this is one of the most lethal quarterback wide receiver stacks in all of fantasy football. And a big reason for this is because of Kyler Murray's rushing upside. Look, there's no more Chase Edmonds on the team, so naturally more running plays are going to be designed for Kyler Murray, and we know that this dude offers you freakish rushing upside because he's one of the fastest quarterbacks in the NFL and is very quick as well, good at evading pocket pressure and creating awesome running lanes for himself. This dude presents awesome rushing upside, awesome passing upside, and he could be one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL this year if he actually plays. And on the wide receiver end of the stack, guys, don't get it twisted. DeAndre Hopkins is still one of the best receivers in the entire NFL. He's still hands down the best contested catch wide receiver in the NFL. And if you watch his game film from last year, you can tell that this dude has not lost any talent whatsoever. The only reason he didn't produce wide receiver one numbers was because he wasn't targeted enough, and then he ended up getting hurt. Kyler Murray ended up getting hurt. It was just kind of a mess of the season for the Kyler Murray-DeAndre Hopkins connection. But look for a huge bounce-back season for DeAndre Hopkins. There's less pass catchers on the team now, so he's going to be forced the ball more. And I see him having a season more like he did 2 years ago with the Cardinals as opposed to the type of season that he had last year. So he's going to have a huge bounce-back season. The quarterback and wide receiver end of the stack are both absolutely awesome. Try to stack these guys up if you can. Next on my list is going to be Keenan Allen and Justin Herbert. Now, Justin Herbert has the upside to finish as the quarterback one in fantasy, and you don't have to draft him as early as you do Pat Mahomes or Josh Allen. So Justin Herbert is a good go-to quarterback for the draft this season, and he's getting all of his passing weapons back. Keenan Allen, Austin Eckler, Mike Williams. He's got a ton of great passing weapons to throw the ball to, and I wouldn't be surprised at all if the Chargers finished as the highest scoring offense in the NFL this year. A third-year Justin Herbert plus all of these passing weapons equals an absolutely explosive year for the Chargers offense. Look for them to absolutely go off this year. As far as Keenan Allen, the wide receiver end of the stack, this is the most reliable fantasy wide receiver right up there with Devontae Adams. I mean, we know that the red zone targets are going to be there. We know that he's going to get double-digit targets almost every single game. This is a guy who last year averaged almost 7 receptions per game, so he's an absolute PPR monster, and he's going to get you consistent production week in and week out. He's probably going to receive a lot of pass catches, a lot of touchdown catches from Justin Herbert. So when you stack these guys up, there's going to be a lot of really good touchdown connections that happens between this quarterback and wide receiver. And we love our quarterback wide receiver stacks because then you get almost double the points. So it's really going to be fun to stack these two guys up this year. Next on my list is going to be Joe Burrow and JaMarr Chase. Now, JaMarr Chase, I mean, goodness gracious. This dude absolutely exploded last season. And JaMarr Chase is kind of like the new Tyreek Hill in the fact that he gives you the highest weekly ceiling out of any wide receiver in the NFL. On any given week, JaMarr Chase could be the number one wide receiver on the week. And that's not going to change this year whatsoever. Going into his second NFL season with Joe Burrow, the upside is probably even higher for JaMarr Chase. And on the quarterback end of the stack, look, we got T. Higgins, Tyler Boyd, and JaMarr Chase for Joe Burrow to throw the ball to. His fantasy numbers this year are going to be through the roof. Not to mention, the Bengals have a significantly improved offensive line. I don't see any version of this offense not being a top 5 offense in the NFL this year. Joe Burrow is going to absolutely feast throwing the ball to his 3 stud wide receivers, and JaMarr Chase is going to be his number 1 target. So if you can stack these two guys up, it's going to be very beneficial for your fantasy team. Next on my list is going to be one that I really like right here, and that is Cooper Kupp and Matt Stafford. Now, I usually don't like having quarterbacks that don't present you rushing upside, high up on my list of quarterbacks. But, guys, Matt Stafford was the quarterback 5 in fantasy football this year. They acquired Allen Robinson over the offseason. They still have what looks like probably certainly best receiver in fantasy football in Cooper Kupp. No reason that he's going to slow down all that much this year. And they have a field-stretching wide receiver in Van Jefferson. So they have a ton of awesome passing weapons for Matt Stafford to throw the ball to. So even though he doesn't present you rushing upside, this is one of the most high-scoring offense in the NFL. They're an aerial assault attack. Sean McVay isn't afraid to just absolutely air the ball out like crazy every single season and almost every single game. This is one of the most pass-happy offenses in the NFL. So even though Matt Stafford can't really run the ball, his passing upside from week to week is tremendously high. And on the wide receiver end of the stack, my goodness gracious, we saw what Cooper Kupp did last year, and he's going to have the same role in the offense this year. I mean, he's going to line up out of the slot. He's going to absolutely feast over the middle of the field, and we've got a more experienced and improved Van Jefferson, who is a legitimate downfield threat, guys. Do not sleep on Van Jefferson. Teams have to game plan to stop Van Jefferson because he can burn you on any given play for a 75-yard touchdown catch, and so you have to try to prevent Van Jefferson for executing those huge plays on you. So defenses have to account for that. They have to account for a Rams run game that is almost always really good. And you still have to watch out for the potential Odell Beckham re-sign and a very good wide receiver in Allen Robinson. So it's not like teams are going to be able to focus all their attention on Cooper Kupp. He's going to be a massive red zone target once again. This dude creates insane separation in his routes. All the advanced metrics will tell you that this is one of the best wide receivers in the NFL, and I don't see any reason why he's going to slow down this year. The connection between him and Matt Stafford is going to be absolutely awesome, so you want to stack these two guys up. Next on my list, this is the stack that I am hands down the most excited about this year, and that is Deshaun Watson and Amari Cooper. Now, obviously, we're not sure if Deshaun Watson is going to play every single game, so if he misses half the season, this changes the outlook tremendously, but I care about the second half of the season more anyway, because this is the season where, you're competing for your fantasy championship. So even if Deshaun Watson misses some games to start the year, or even if he misses half the season, having him on your team and ready to go for the second half of the season is going to be very beneficial for you guys. This dude has shown to be a pretty much top 3 fantasy quarterback every single season that he's played in the NFL. And there's no reason why this is going to slow down. This is one of the best dual threat quarterbacks in the league. He's got the insanely awesome passing abilities, great rushing abilities. He is the definition of a dual threat quarterback. And he has weapons this year. I mean, he has Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb to help him out of the backfield, which is going to make his rushing upside very interesting and fun to watch, because teams are going to have to game plan to stop Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt. So you got to figure that when Deshaun Watson actually decides to keep the ball and run it for himself, he's going to be very efficient. And he's got a very good number 1 wide receiver in Amari Cooper to throw the ball to, guys. Amari Cooper is now in the best offensive situation that he's ever been in, playing on this Browns offense. He gets to head the offense. He doesn't really have any competition from a legitimate second wide receiver on the team like he did in Dallas. He's now got by far the best quarterback of his career. I mean, no disrespect to Derek Carr or Dak Prescott, but they're not even in the same universe of talent as Deshaun Watson. So Amari Cooper's touchdown upside is going to be high on a week-to-week basis, because we know that he's going to be the team's number 1 red zone target. That is set in stone. He's going to be the number 1 overall target hog, and he has the best big play ability. So he's by far the best wide receiver on this team. He's one of the more talented wide receivers in the NFL. He's just never really been in a situation where he's in good enough of an offense and has that particular role in the offense where he could really shine as a fantasy wide receiver. I think he's going to have his best fantasy season that we've ever seen him have. And this stack between Deshaun Watson and Amari Cooper is going to be very fun to watch. I think that it is going to be very beneficial for your fantasy team. And this stack is going to be the biggest league-winning stack in all of fantasy football. All right, guys, I appreciate you tuning into the video, and I will catch you later.